So we'd like to welcome Jean-Michel Piqueman, who is the founder of Fleur de Bac in France and the largest distributor of Fleur de Bac in France, and also who had the privilege of knowing the founder of the Sage-Marg Heartfulness spiritual movement. He's had numerous experiences, and he's done the movie called Love Him Who Loves All. And we'd like to welcome him. Jean-Michel, thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you for inviting me to speak, even if I am not so keen on talking.
You're a very good speaker.
Yes, it is said so, but I think after so many years of giving speech and lectures, I can accept the compliment now. So with a kind of humility sometimes.
So can you tell us, Jean-Michel, please, what sparked your interest in spirituality? How did this all come about, your journey?
I think I came to spirituality that the same reason I came to birth. It's by accident. And in fact, I was involved in a religious Catholic system because I was born as a Christian in Algeria, and after the Civil War, I came back to France, as a kind of refugees, and I could not accept this trauma, and I said, oh no, there is no God, it cannot give me such a difficult experience, and so for the age from 12 to 18, I had no much interest in spirituality. But it has come back, by meeting some people. In fact, my best friend when I was 14 has introduced me with his mother to Bachelor's Remedy and Yoga. So as many people, I read this book, The Third Eyes of Lobsang Rampa, and I was much interested in Tibetan things and so on. And at the age of 20, I have found a group of spirituality and parapsychology and different things to be discussed. And I was again attracted by spirituality. So I met different masters, in Buddhism, in Zen, in Tibetan Buddhism, in Sufi, in other school of Rosicrucian fellowship and different movement, and I have started to meditate with a few people, and it's how I met the French first preceptor André Poré, who has accepted to teach meditation once a month in Nice, and after maybe 1 year he says that his master will come from India. And I was a bit disappointed that he was not Tibetan. So I have to confess that. But I was okay to organize his visit to my hometown in Nice on the French Riviera. So I met Babuji, and immediately I could feel that this old man was a very special man. And he was really a gentleman, so sweet and so peaceful. And if I had to talk about him, I would speak as a simple man with a lot of humility, a lot of humor also. And he was so refined man that he was really... We could just fall in love with that man, because when you were in his presence, you forget everything, and you was feeling so peaceful in his presence. So after a few days with Chariji, I was called by Babuji, as we affectionately call the first master, Sri Ramchandraji from Sajjanpur. And he asked whether I would like to work with him. So it was a bit surprising for me how a young guy of 22 could work with him. And he says, oh, it is very simple. You just have to uplift the spiritual level of humanity. Oh my God. I said, what can I do? I said, I have organized many lectures for many people and I am okay to work with you. And he says, you just will train the people to meditate and you will feel what we call in the Sahajmark system, the yogic transmission, because our spirituality is based on transmission of spiritual energy to the heart of the people who meditate, so they can open themselves to the highest vibration that one can feel. And I discovered that this energy was, in fact, what we call love, you know. So, in a word, I can say I just become an abhyasi. The same time, I have become a preceptor, you know. And Babuji said, now, after 2 days, I was on diet, and after 2 days, he told me that you can transmit. But at that time, I had no idea what about the system was, you know. And I said, but transmit what? So it was so funny. And he said, you just sit in meditation. You think I am giving the meditation. You can even think that my small heart is on your head and you let the work to be done by itself. It's what I did. And I could feel something coming through myself. And I started the group in Nice like this. So now I have this kind of bad privilege to be the oldest one, because it was in 1972. And now, after so many years, I'm the oldest in the mission. But from inside, I think Babuji break my computer. I don't know, but I feel I am still 22, you know, and this is quite funny. And I don't know if it is the result of the work of Babuji, but I feel I have lost most of my memory, you know. I have not the feeling of the time, but maybe all the people are the same. But so far, you know, I like to joke as Babuji used to do. And of course, the first years I've been in touch with Babuji, he was in a good health condition, and it was joy incarnated is him. I could remember Babuji laughing and laughing, such as put his hand like this on the legs, and every people was laughing, you know. So Babuji, for me, was a very special man. And of course, when I met my master, I never knew that he could be so great man, you know. And it was maybe better that he did not want his autobiography to be published by his lifetime, you know, because it was so incredible, you know, the power that he has received from the universe, you know, to work on the spirituality of the planet. And he knew that he was just coming on earth to start a new system of Raja Yoga, to make it simple. And he used to say that we are as birds, you know, and we are flying with two wings, spirituality and materiality. And he says, if you develop one more than the other, you will fall down. So he has always been taught that the best way to evolve in spirituality is to have a normal life, a normal job, you know, and the spirituality is something not separate than the normal life, you know. The spirituality is not once a week mess of meditation. It is a way of living, you know. So when you develop this opening of the heart, you know, by practicing meditation, you develop some skills, you know, slowly, and you discover that slowly you may change your reference. You slowly see your prejudices falling down, and you can feel after some time that in fact you are no more the one you was at the beginning, you know. So the master used to work mostly in silence. At that time, even if my English is not so good now, but I did not speak much of English, and I definitely have the certitude that he has worked on me in silence, you know. And I remember many people at the first time, because I've been associated to Babuji 11 years, and the people used to ask me, but what are your experiences, you know? So it's one of my first complaints to Babuji. I said, Babuji, all the people, they want me to talk about my experiences, but I don't have the feeling of having much experiences. And with his kind of humor, you know, moving the Indian way, the head like this, with a little smile on the side, it's Mr. John, it's your experience not to have any experiences. So you see this kind of answer of Babuji. He was kind of a funny man, you know, to say that. Anyway, I have many experiences which are more personal, you know. So two difficult experiences of terrible headache, you know, and I knew that it was his job, you know, of cleaning the chakras and the points and so on, because he wanted me to work for the mission. And so after I understood, maybe later after he passed, and I have been mentioned in the whispers, you know, of the brighter worlds, and he has mentioned to Hélène, the medium, that he has trained me to teach, you know, to speak and to film for the public. So it's why I had a few without sound film, 8 millimeters, and from these archives I made a film, and Chariji named the film He Who Loves Love, He Loves All, and it was considered as the first film of the mission. And I told Babuji, but Babuji, when I show my first film to the public, some people fall in meditation. So what's happened? He says, I do the job, you know, I am working on the image, and the people will feel the transmission. So it was interesting to know, even that after the copying and making the editing of the film on a video, still the same experience was coming with a few abhyazis, and mostly with Hélène, the medium, who was falling really in deep meditation. We used to see the film together, and it's why at the beginning we had a few messages from Babuji, and he was helping me, and Hélène was caring about me. And I remember one of the messages, because I was in trouble with my ticket and I could not go somewhere. I don't know exactly the details, but he says to Hélène, do you think that we will leave Jean-Michel on the platform alone? So he was taking care of every small details, you know. He was doing so many things that we never expect that he could have done such a job for us. But still, I have sometimes complained about my experiences, and I think we don't need to have great experiences, you know, because the process is just by a kind of slow evolution, you know, and maybe we don't have very strong experiences. And I remember I once talked to Babuji. I said, but Babuji, I'm often thinking of you, and I had really a few dreams with you. And he says, because when you have a dream with me, it's no more a dream. It is just me coming to you, and for whatever teaching or experiences. So as we say in India, the silence is the language of God. So Babuji used to train many people in silence, and maybe mostly the foreigners. And I remember in Saint-Jean-Port, I was living in his house as maybe the second French Abyazi there, and among the first European with the Danish. And Babuji used to stay long at night, talking with the local Abyazis, and maybe up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And for me, it was my pleasure not to understand everything, but just to feel this atmosphere, a very special atmosphere in this house. And Babuji used to tell me, "You please go to bed now, you have to go to sleep." I said, "Why, Babuji? It's only 11. You are talking." He says, "No, because when you sleep, you have less resistance and I can do my job." So you see, maybe one of the problem is that inside we may resist, because to change is a challenge. And to change for what? And maybe at the deep of ourselves we are scaring to change, because you think you are something and they propose you to become someone else. But in fact, yet we are not yet ourselves. The purpose of evolution is to become ourselves, with the big S, the self. So for now, I'm definitely sure that to evolve is more to lose things than to gain things, because since we are on this planet, we have some experiences, some trauma I could have during the Algerian war, and we have trauma with the family, and maybe with the teaching of the school, maybe the teaching of the church, of the temple, or whatever in spirituality you are born, So it is the same as if we are dressed with too small garments with no color fitting us, So this way of evolving is to delete, to get rid of all these things that we have accumulate, as we call samskara, that is experience which let in us some grossness, So by the cleaning process, we try to avoid to keep this impression, because some impression we also can be attached to the good impression. But an impression is a grossness, either a good experience or a bad experience. It's creates, some kind of grossness, and we may be attached. So the spiritual path for me is to become lighter and lighter, and not to be much attached to different things that are maybe useless. And now even I try, if I want something, I said, do I really need this thing? So it is important to see what should we look for life, because when you are young, you dream, you are not in reality, you project yourself in the future, and the future is never what you have expected to be. So you have to be a kind of newborn every day, to accept what it is coming, as my friend Ross says, to follow the flow, and sometimes it's difficult because we have fears. So I think the two most important things that is blocking us or making our spirituality slow, there are two things that should be worked on. First of the thing is the fears, and the second is the guilt. And I think either the family, the school, or the church, they use these two tools, to put you in their way, So could we imagine what could be our life if we had no fears? Of course, the fears is something necessary, I have to respect the traffic light and whatever, but the deep fears, and for me, I had a deep fears for many years. It was the fear of death, and for 5 years I was more meditating on death than on the light, and it has been quite long to solve this problem, and now with the age, I am much better than I was when I was 18 or 20, you know. And when I met Babuji, I used to dream of Algeria every night, kind of dream and sometimes nightmare, every night to remember, to remember, to remember. And after 1 year of practice, I had no more dreams of Algeria, you know. So I could see really the work of the master and the practice of meditation. So you see, the experience I had in meditation are not numerous. And I told Babuji, but sometimes the people after meditation, they said, oh, I was like this, it was so deep, and I cannot come back to reality. And I said, Babuji, but for me, I had not special feelings during the meditation. But sometime after 20 minutes or half an hour, I could felt the difference, you know. So it is the same as a tea bag, you know, the transmission, it gives you something in the heart, and it will take time, you know, to digest, you know, this kind of energy, and you can have some feelings much longer after the meditation, you know. So sometimes we may think, oh, it was a good meditation or a bad meditation, but in fact the meditation is just what has to be happened to you, and the experience you get is just what you have to go through, you know. So of course we would like nice experiences, you know, and the violins and the angel and whatever, but everything is necessary, you know. At my age now, I come to the conclusion that there is nothing good for us, there is nothing bad for us, but everything is necessary, because we are on the way to develop, to grow spiritually, and every moment of the day can be an opportunity to grow, you know. Just we have to be conscious that we are on the way, and what it is given to us is the food, you know, the energy that we receive to go a little more advanced in the spiritual path, you know. So I think I'm talking a lot. Yes, I wanted to ask about Babuji's teaching. He was teaching in silence, you know, and in fact, we did not know much about his work, you know. And once we tried to know more about his job, you know, and he says, but my mission job upon the abhyasis is only 10% of my work, you know. So the same with the brain. We don't know the possibility of the brain, and maybe we don't use much percentage in the brain activity. What I want to add is maybe a way that it could work, because I was lacking confidence, and I was quite shy at the beginning, and I wanted, after 1 year of preceptorship in 72, 73, I wanted to resign of my job, you know, because I did not know if it was okay, not okay, and whatever. And when Babuji left, he gave me his card and said, with address, and said, you are welcome to visit me. And I think the same with Chariji, when he was giving a sweet or something like this, these masters are working with light suggestion. So I was not confident and with a lot of fears, and I don't know how I could, 6 months after the first Babuji's visit in France, could buy my ticket and go to India with my backpack. And so I went to India, and after 6 months, and Babuji says, but it is not the good weather for you, it will be so hot, and I will do my best to host you, but I will not change the climate for you. So I went there, and it was a nice experience, even if India more than 40 years ago was a quite difficult country to visit, and my English was limited. And I was already most interested by traveling, and I was a kind of frustration looking through the window on the plane to go all these countries of Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, and whatever. And I said, second time I will go to India, I will go by car. And it's what I did in the next year, in 1973, with the second preceptor who has resigned after 1 year. We bought a Volkswagen car, and with all the administrative paper, we could have the permission to go through Eastern Europe in communist country to Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, India, and Nepal. So when I start from Nice, after 1 year of preceptorship, I had really taken the resolution to finish with the preceptorship. And every day I was thinking, every night on the way, it took 3 weeks to reach India. I said, I will resign, I will have the strength to say, Babuji, please, now you have made me other people to work with, and I have swear to myself, you have to follow what you want to stop. So when Babuji welcomed us in a minibus, we put in the garden of the house, and I said, oh my God, I cannot do this to the old man. I cannot resign just on arrival. I will do it tomorrow. And the day after, I was so scared to tell him that I wanted to stop. And the Thursday, I take really the resolution. Now you are at the bottom of the wall, and you have to tell him. So he was smoking early morning his first hookah. He was smoking quite a lot, and it was very peaceful in the morning. His dog was coming here, and he was pushing the dog with his foot like this, and there was a cat, and there was the old servant Malay. They both are shouting, and I did not know if there was fighting or just talking, because the Malay was deaf. So I take the resolution to tell him. So we were sitting like this, and so the time was running, and it was the time of meditation, and I said I will tell him inside. So he asked a few Abhyasi to go inside. He was sitting on the chair. Maybe you know the picture of this entrance of his office, small office. And I was coming through him, and he looked at me. He says, Jean-Michel, today it's your turn. You give the meditation. So how can I resign in this condition? So this is an example for me how the master can do, because he was reading in myself totally as he was reading a book, So I said, if I was not good in the work, he would have changed something or do something, So far, for 11 years, associate with him, and much more with Chariji, I had never problem, and they have worked with me with confidence on both sides. And so I just resigned after 27 years of preceptorship and said, now I can give the way to the young people, and I can maybe have more freedom to do most of my travel. I wanted to see the world. So I told you that I complained Babuji, and I had not much experience. And once he told me, but sometimes he used to call me Mr. John, because the Jean Michel is difficult for him, and maybe for you English and speaking people. And he says with his little voice, and like this, with always this little smile, he said, but Mr. John, I give you a little, but it will work long. So it's why maybe I had not tremendous experience, but with the years I could feel always that he was within me, and the seed was there, and it was very nice. Often he was wondering also to see many people coming to him, and after when the people wanted to go visiting Taj Mahal or Benares and come back to say bye bye to Babuji, we go back home, and he used to tell me and to other people also, what are they looking for that I cannot give them, you know? They go out after visiting me and they come back with more grossness than they had when they left, you know? So he could not really understood, you know, why we were like this. But he was so nice. Maybe you know already that Babuji used to look the heart of the people, not too much the face, you know. And the social psychology show now that one man can remember 5,000 faces difference, you know. It's huge number. But Babuji, when he has seen the heart of one people, even few years later, when he could see the second time the guys, could remember that he saw him just by looking at the heart, you know. So it was a quite incredible also aspect of Babuji. And I told you it was so sweet and gentle guy. Remember in Denmark, we went to Denmark on his visit to Europe, and we were working in the garden with Chariji, and he found some myosotis in French. I think it is in English, forget me not, isn't it? And little blue flowers, and he picked up a few flowers, and we were just a few people, and he was looking at us and give us the flower and tell, forget me not, forget me not, forget me not, you know. It was so nice of him, with a sense also of humor, you know. It was very nice.
So, Jean-Michel, if you had one piece of advice for spiritual seekers, what would it be?
I think we should not have a right to give advice, because we are all unique, you know. We have all our own karma, you know. So as I mentioned, we have to go through experiences which are different to one from another. Often I met some people becoming friends, and they said, oh, you are so lucky, you have been traveling a lot. And I said, where is the luck, you know? It's just your interest. You have to put some energy and you can realize your dream, you know. Don't dream your life, but live your dream, you know. The wisdom say that, you know. So I don't know if there is any secret, you know, but I've been in touch with many young people, and if I really have to give an advice, it will be one single word: dare. Dare is the opening of new thing in your life, you know. It's connected with the fears. So if you dare, you go to the people, and by going to the people, look, the people don't talk to you, so you just talk to them. The people in the metro in Paris, they don't smile to them, you know. So your chance, your luck, it's what you're built every day, you know, is to go to the others, you know, with open heart, sometimes open mouth with a nice smile, you know, and you create the condition of being lucky, you know. Just you have to dare, otherwise the age will come and you will regret not to have done this and that, because you are shy, because you have some other problem. So focus on your purpose of life, what you want to become, you know. As the great story of John Lennon, when his teacher in school asked him, what would you like to do and to become when you will be older? And John Lennon looked at his teacher, he said, I want to be happy. And the teacher said, oh, you don't understand my question. And John Lennon told him, but you don't know what is life. So life is to be, not to get, not to have. And as Chariji says, give, give, give. not to get, but to become.
Thank you. Thank you very much.